When you're in encounter mode, sometimes positioning is one of the most important things. Maybe you need to get past a tough opponent in tight quarters, or maybe you're a swashbuckler and you're trying to gain panache. Whatever it is, you can get past creatures if you do the single action tumble through. Tumble through allows you to pass through a creature square with a little caveat that that square is going to be difficult terrain. This is a very useful action, and let's go ahead and go through and see how it works in actual practice. My name is Don. I'm trying to be the Sly Strategist, and let's go ahead and get into it. Battlefield positioning is super important in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and a lot of times you will have creatures that are blocking your path in order to try and flank, or maybe they are in tight quarters and you just can't get past them. However, they're just a little bit too tough to hit straight on, so you need them to be off guard in order to really have your attacks hit. Well, Tumble Through is one of those things that will allow you to get past a creature. It allows you to set up that off guard. It allows you to get through tight quarters or get through a mass of creatures that are blocking your way. So let's go ahead and read the Tumble Through action. So Tumble Through is a single action and it does have the move trait. It reads, you stride up to your speed. During this movement, you can try to move through the space of one enemy. Attempt an acrobatics check against the enemy's reflex DC. You can tumble through using climb, fly, swim, or any action instead of stride in the appropriate environment. Now, it does have two conditions. It doesn't really have a critical success, nor does it have a critical failure. But for success, you move through the enemy space, treating the squares of its space as difficult terrain. And it does remind you here, every 5 feet costs 10 feet of movement. If you don't have enough speed to move all the way through its space, you get the same effect as a failure. Now, speaking of that, let's go ahead and talk about the failure condition. So for failure, your movement ends and you trigger reactions as if you had moved out of the square you started in. So basically, if you were doing this stride action, because remember, it is a full stride action, so you don't have to be adjacent to the particular creature. You would just stop dead before the creature. So it will trigger a reactive strike or attack of opportunity pre-remaster, regardless of whether you succeed or fail. Now, you have to remember that the squares of its space are difficult terrain. So if it's a large creature, that would be 2 difficult terrain spaces and 3 for huge. And then it just continues to go up for the size of the creature. So take that into consideration when you try to tumble through. For example, you'll need at least 30 feet of movement to move through a huge creature. And then remember that this is a full stride action. So it does have squares of difficult terrain, but as long as your movement speed allows for it, it can be tried. Now let's go ahead and go into Foundry and see how this actually looks in practice. Now let's go ahead and look at Tumble Through in an actual encounter. So as you can see, we have basically everybody is already in combat, and we have our party here as well as a mage, an ice golem, and an archer. Now, this particular archer is kind of lighting people up in the party, and Crag would like to set up a flank with the ice golem, as well as kind of get in the face of this archer so that it doesn't keep shooting arrows at his party members with a lower armor class. So it's Crag's turn, and Crag would like to tumble through the ice golem. So Crag is going to go ahead and select the tumble through action. And Crag's movement speed is 20 on land. So if we notice here, we have 5 feet. This would count as 10 feet, and then we have another 5 feet here, so Crag can do it. Crag is going to go ahead and target the ice golem, and then he is going to attempt an acrobatics check against the enemy's reflex DC. So we'll go ahead and click that. And Crag critically succeeded. Now for Tumble Through, there is no critical success, so Crag doesn't get anything special for that. However, he definitely succeeded, so he can go ahead and move through the creature, thereby potentially setting up a possible flank with Emily if Emily chooses to move to this square, as well as getting in the face of the sentry over here, at least forcing it to waste some actions to get out of the way, or maybe to stop shooting arrows at Crag's friends in his party. Now, let's see what would happen if Crag failed. So Crag failed by 4. In doing this, Crag will basically move up to where they were going to tumble through and then immediately stop. And because it is a move action, he's going to trigger a reactive strike or any other reaction that the ice golem might have. Now remember that this is a move action, And regardless of whether you succeed or fail, you are going to cause reactions because it is simply a move. Now let's take a look at a slightly different situation. So let's say Crag was adjacent to the creature and there was the archer that is back here. This particular sentry is a few steps back, and Crag would like to go ahead and get to him because he is the one that's doing the most damage to the party in this situation. So Crag, once again, would go to his actions, and then he would attempt to tumble through. He would still target the creature in the space that he is trying to tumble through and go ahead and do an acrobatics check. Now he did succeed by 2, so Crag could go ahead and move here because this particular square would be 10 feet of movement. This square would be 5, and this square would be 5, and Crag's movement speed is 20. Now, as I mentioned, battlefield positioning is so important. It can really help for teamwork in order to try to get a flank set up. It can really help in order to get you in the right place so that you do the most effective things in each of your turns. Now, I do hope you like this little playthrough of the Tumble Through action. And if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.